We have a real problem globally. We have more people feeling the effects of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm than ever before. A lot of people are referring to this as the second pandemic. You only have to flick through the newspapers here in Australia to see that high-profile people like sports coaches and premiers are quitting their jobs due to stress and overwhelm. And there's no denying that since COVID, people have felt more and more stressed and anxious. And we know that going back into the workplace, many people have found their cultures are quite transactional or even isolating. So we have a real issue that we need to do something about. It's only getting worse, and we need to change the game, and we need to do something differently than we've done before. I know from a global Gallup research that was done, they found that 60% of the global workplace population are feeling emotionally detached from their jobs and feeling the effects of stress and anxiety. And look, if you don't believe those statistics, I've got some more from Workplace Australia here, and I'd like to take you through this. 92% of serious work-related mental health condition claims are attributed to work-related mental stress. 30.7 working weeks are lost from mental health conditions per claim per person, and that's an increase of 61% in the past 3 years. Over $55,000 compensation paid compared to over $13,000 for physical injury and diseases, and 70% of mental health conditions for which workers receive compensation related to reactions to stress is an anxiety or stress disorder. Now there's a couple of really interesting things in these statistics to me. One is we know that stress, anxiety and mental health are still seen as a stigma, and people are not talking about it. They are not talking to their managers about their stress and overwhelm. These figures may only represent a small fraction of the actual situation. Consider these numbers and remember that each one represents an individual, including people like you and me. I don't want them to be one of these statistics. I really want to change this game. So during one of the many long Melbourne lockdowns in COVID, one of my co-founders and I went for a walk, and we were lamenting about the type of coaching work that we had on at that time. All of the coaching work we were doing was related to stress and overwhelm. Perhaps not so surprising during COVID times, but it was really difficult. And what was also difficult is that companies were cutting budgets, and they weren't able to give everybody that needed coaching that opportunity. And over the decades I've done coaching work that rings true. Coaching is generally reserved for what I call the rainmakers, or the troublemakers. And there's a vast group of people out there in the middle that don't get the support they need. So this got us thinking, how could we change this and find a solution that helps coach people? It helps enhance well-being, reduce stress and make a difference. So after 3 years of development, Noa Coach was born. Quite simply, Noa Coach is always there. It's at your fingertips, it's on your phone. So on your computer, it's scalable. It means that the vast majority have access to this. Everyone in the organization has access. It's cost-effective. The cost of this 12-month program of Noa is less than an hour's coaching, and importantly, it doesn't judge. And we found this was one of the big problems about talking about stress and well-being, that whole stigma of it, that it doesn't judge. But of course we were concerned about building this. We needed to use artificial intelligence, and we had a concern about what people talk to a chatbot. Will they talk about what's really concerning them? Will they talk about their stress to a chatbot, to their phone? Well, we found some really interesting research, and I'm going to give you some research from 2 areas. I have conducted independent research on 2 mental health apps, namely WYSA and Oracle Future Work, and found that they share a significant similarity in terms of the data they generated. And what it shows is that people don't actually mind talking to a chatbot. In fact, they prefer it. According to the reports, almost 60% to 75% of people prefer discussing stress and well-being matters with an app instead of approaching their manager or colleague. And this one really surprised me. More than 2 in 3 would actually rather talk to the app than the general physician, the GP, and importantly, more than 1 in 2 people are more likely to stay with a company that uses AI to support career growth. And at the moment, that's a really important thing to look at. So I'd like to take you through Noa and show you how it works. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about your data and the protection, because many people are concerned about that with apps. We use the gold standard in terms of data protection, which is the European standard. We're very fortunate in that one of my co-founders actually owns the AI company that we use. So we don't go through any third parties. We don't sell our data to anyone else. We don't require much of your personal data. Any conversations that you have are yours and no one else can access them. We take away all names, all personal data for our machine learning, and I'll explain later the sorts of reports that we provide for enterprises, which is as high level. Even if people want to join Noa using a personal email rather than a work email and even a false name, we don't mind because we're not collecting any of that data. And in some ways, I think an AI coach is a little bit more confident than a human coach. Now, as a human coach, we know we need to keep things confidential. But I also know some coaches who are sitting at the pub after a couple of beers might talk about a conversation. They might not mention names, but they'll talk about the types of conversations they had in their day-to-day work. Noa is not going to be at the pub doing that. So let me talk to you a little bit about the app and how it works. When you come into the home screen, you'll see that we've got 5 key features. They are all based around neuroscience and coaching techniques, and they all work together to help people reduce stress, improve focus, productivity, and well-being. So firstly, when you come in, you're directed to challenges, and within the challenges you'll see that each month we unlock a number of different, easy small challenges. These research-based resources are designed to assist you in developing healthy habits, enhancing your well-being, and effectively managing stress. This is one of our, or if not our most popular AI coaching chatbots. And how it works is like a text chat, or you can use your microphone if you prefer to talk rather than text. You can use it on your computer, or on your phone. Everything syncs live to each device, and it takes you through a coaching conversation about how you're feeling. Now, many people use this just in the moment to distress, as it's called, and it certainly works for that purpose. But I've also got a client who shared a great story with me, and he said much as he uses distress when he needs to calm down, or to stop ruminating, or worrying about something. He also uses it in the garage each night when he gets home, and he lets go of his work stress and makes sure that he goes in that door of his home and be the partner and the father that he wants to be when he's there with his family at home. And I thought that was a really nice story of how he was using distress. Then we have what we call the Noa community. So this is a little bit like a LinkedIn, but it is specifically for talking about well-being issues. We also have these private forums in our community. So if you're running a leadership program, or you're at an organization, and you want to have a forum just for your people where you share policies, where you share information, you can do that as well. So everything is on one platform. Then the fourth one is what we call AI advice. So we found when we were developing Noa that people didn't just want coaching. Sometimes they just wanted somewhere where they could go and get advice on productivity, well-being, communication issues, and again, like distress, it works as a chat tool. And perhaps one of the funny stories, if you like, that I can share about advice is that of my 90-year-old mom. So don't think that Noa is just for young people. My mother came to me and she said she was having a problem. She really wanted to give a gift to a friend of hers who's 99, but she wasn't sure that her friend would accept the gift. So I said, well, why don't you ask Noa? She was thrilled and she had a chat with Noa. Noa provided advice and assistance, including the opening line, to her friend. She was able to convey her compassion and explained her intentions for the gift, believing it would benefit both of them. And so Noa's gentle help and advice really changed the game for her. I thought it was a nice story to share. And lastly, we have notes. This is where you can save your conversations because again, as I said, we don't save the conversation. So people like to save any of the conversations they might have had. You can also do this. You can put pictures up. You might be doing a well-being challenge, and you might want to journal that. So this is where you can save that. You can send those conversations to yourself. If you want to send it on to a coach or anyone, we have it said that you can only email it to yourself. Again, that is for data security reasons, but it just means if you want to talk to your manager about an issue or your coach about an issue or anyone else, then you've got that ability to forward on that conversation I mentioned earlier. We actually do some reporting, and this is unlike any other sort of chat box out there or a GPT because we keep everything in one platform. It means that we can provide reporting specifically on well-being issues, so I'm happy to provide more information about this. If you'd like after, I can go into the details of how we do that. But you'll see from the research we utilized that using AI advice, such as a GPT tool, proves to be highly beneficial for productivity. The distress is different from a GPT or anything else, because it's looking at specifically helping you manage stress and ability to focus better, so that you're not ruminating or worrying or concerned. You can focus on challenges designed specifically to enhance well-being, and our community activities are around engagement, and we also give data in terms of our usage. And this is really helpful because it's lead data rather than lag data. By employing Noa, you can determine the most demanding period within our organization and explore potential strategies to address it. So there are some really useful lead to ask that people can use. So in terms of ways that you can introduce Noa to your clients, this is if we're finding a few ways that are coming along, and I'm sure we'll find more as we get more out there. But firstly, it's just standalone well-being. This is for peace of mind. Everyone in the organization can have a tool that can support their well-being. There is a lot of press around psychosocial guidelines that are coming in, and we've got one of our strategic partners who do a lot of risk audits and a lot of work in Ohandes, and they are actually using Noa as a preventative tool, leadership and learning. So if we run leadership programs, you provide Noa as part of the program that helps with their well-being, helps with coaching, and also gives you a platform to be able to talk to people through the community forums, between leadership sessions or between the learning sessions. Many of the clients that I work with want to create a more coaching culture. But again, a lot of those people, a lot of those managers who haven't had coaching don't really know what coaching looks like. So this allows them to ask coaching questions, to have coaching at their fingertips, and being able to embed that throughout the organization. And I think it is important for employee assistance programs. We know we can't get enough psychologists and people on the end of those employee assistance programs. Noa presents an opportunity for individuals to engage in conversations that eliminate the need to involve a human. By discussing and understanding their concerns with Noa, people can efficiently address significant matters and quickly reach the core of the issue. So we believe as part of an EAP, this can be a really, really useful, again, preventative tool. In terms of pricing, as I've said before, the pricing we all wanted is for this to be a scalable tool that everybody could have access to. So it was really important to us that we made sure that the pricing is low and that, again, it's less than the cost of an hour's coaching. But most importantly, if Noa helps people not have that day off that they need because they are stressed, you've saved your money already in just one or half a day, couple of hours for some workers. So the return on investment is going to be fairly significant fairly quickly in terms of me and where I fit into this. As a co-founder of Noa, I have a real passion in this area. I've worked in Asia for a number of decades now. I've worked in coaching. I do a lot of research and study in the areas of neuroscience. I'm currently doing my professional doctorate in the area of how do we help people thrive and flourish in the coming era that we're going into. So this is just not a work project for me, it is actually a real passion at 24 hours a day. So I really want to make sure we keep working with our strategic partners and our resellers and everybody that uses this Noa to get this app into as many hands as possible so that we can solve that problem. I talked about it at the very beginning of the day of the talk. What I'd love to offer you is offer you this 30-day trial rather than on the website. You can currently get a 7-day trial, but I know many of you are going to be really busy and it's hard to get a proper trial in 7 days. So if you'd like to go to that website there and you'll see the little sign up picture, just as I've got there, put your email in. It can be your personal email, create a password, and just put that access code in. You'll need to verify your email for security purposes, but then you'll get into Noa. Once you've done that on the website, you can also then download the apps on Google Store or Apple App Store, and that will sync to each other, so you can use it on whatever device you need, wherever you need.